Come on, Annie. Let's go to the movies.
This is the Cinereelists, episode 611. My name is Kyle.
My name is James.
And my name is Zach.
And we're here to talk movies, movie lists, and movie obsession for the next hour or so. Happy December, guys.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Yeah. Do you guys have a favorite month? I know in Florida you do have seasons. They're not as quite as extreme as other parts of the country. So is there like a month you look forward to, like this is my perfect Florida weather?
December's pretty nice as far as weather goes.
Okay.
Oh yeah. I mean, today was hot. Today was 83. But it'll cool down in a little bit.
That's nice. Okay.
What,
James?
Hot. Come on. That's not hot.
For December, 83 is hot.
We have 83-degree days in December normally. The whole month isn't cool.
Yeah, I'm just saying 83 degrees in December is hot.
I disagree.
Really?
It's going to be quite an episode, Zach. We can't even agree on the weather.
I don't understand what you're disagreeing about.
I don't know. It just feels like it's not uncharacteristic to have a couple 83 days in December.
So what you're saying is it's not uncharacteristic.
Right.
That has nothing to do with what I'm saying. I'm saying it was hot.
You think 83 is hot, is what you're saying?
In December, yeah.
Okay.
Again, you're saying whether it's normal or not, right?
Sure.
But
and also 83
I'm
is
talking
not
about
hot, even for December.
Sure, James.
What temperature do the Floridians bring out like their winter jackets?
90.
No.
I mean,
Maybe
like yesterday I was walking
60.
around in a sweatshirt and it was plenty not cold, I would say. But
Wait, what was the temp? What was sweatshirt weather, James, yesterday?
about 83.
Oh my God, you're wearing a sweatshirt.
I'll tell you what, I kept it on, went to the movies, was glad I had it because it was freezing in that theater.
James, just to clarify, you had a sweatshirt because you were inside and it was cold inside.
No. Like I had to run an errand. And so I put the sweatshirt on before I left the house.
Because it's 83 outside, sweatshirt weather.
Right. And then I ran the errand with the sweatshirt on.
So but did you put the sweatshirt on because you're like, oh, I'm going to be cold outside, let me put a sweatshirt on? Or I'm going to a movie theater where I'll have a sweatshirt, let me just put it on now.
I put the sweatshirt on because I thought it was going to be cold outside, and I always bring a sweatshirt. It could be like July, and I will bring a sweatshirt. I don't normally wear it until I get to the theater, so I'll give you that. But this time I put it on because I was like, it's probably cold outside. And then I walked out the door, and it was not cold at all, and I still didn't take it off.
Yes, the reason he put a sweatshirt on is because it's been cold outside. It's been like 15 degrees cooler the past week. And then yesterday was a lot hotter than it had been. And that's why it surprised him.
It's been like 65 degrees.
Yeah, it's been like 65 or 70.
Like freezing around here.
And so that's why I said 83 is hot for December.
This was a really roundabout way to find out what sweater weather is in Florida. I just imagine James is like, once it drops to 80, it's flannel and pumpkin spice weather.
I don't like pumpkin spice. The theater I went to,
You're
though,
so
was
basic,
one.
though, James.
Definitely am. Was one that I don't normally go to, and they had brand new seats that were heated.
Heated seats?
Heated seats?
Which theater did you go to?
This was the theater at Disney, the AMC.
Okay.
I
Can't
don't
they
remember how many.
like turn the AC up if people are getting too cold? That just seems like they're fighting against themselves. Like it's going to be 65 degrees in there, but people are cold, so we'll give them heated seats also.
Yeah, I think the thought is rather than, sweatboxing everybody, you can just sweatbox yourself in your own seat.
Oh, so it's
everybody else is
like
cold. Yeah,
you can choose if you want to have your seat heated or not.
Right. But I will say the heating element was like maybe this big and right in the small of your back, and that's it. And it was really hot, like hot enough that I was like, man, like 5 more degrees and this could literally burn somebody if you put
having a lawsuit
bare
right
skin
there.
on it. Yeah. I was kind of impressed / scared by how hot that thing got.
This might be a silly question.
Okay.
Because I don't know how cars are built for areas. Do cars come with heated seats in Florida? Like if you were to buy like a mid-grade, like
if you
a
buy the
mid-trim level
option
car,
for heated seats.
is it an option? Like, can you ask for
Of
heated
course.
seats? Okay. All right.
Most cars that aren't luxury cars, that's going to be an additional. And so you might skip it in Florida. But
Okay. I said no. They're like, it's Florida. No one's gonna want a heated seat. We're not even gonna bother shipping them down there.
no, I mean they'll sell you anything if you'll buy it. So
That's a good point, I guess.
yeah.
Cars down here don't rust nearly as much.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's no salt,
There's
no
no
winter.
salt. Yeah, no salt.
You got it.
I don't know about you guys. In the theater, my nose always gets really cold. It only ever happens in a movie theater.
Is it because it's has nothing to do with humidity, does it?
Yeah, I do not know what it is,
Your nose
but
gets
specifically my nose. Where like sometimes in a movie, like a long movie, I'll like put a sleeve on my nose or something
cold. Really?
because my nose is cold.
It's like when you saw Napoleon, you're like, oh man, I hope this wraps up soon. This thing's gonna fall off.
Well, I haven't seen Napoleon.
Oh, that's a good point. Okay, when you
Yeah,
saw,
way to rub it in.
I don't know. We saw some 3-hour movie this year.
So if in the movie they're cold, then your nose starts to run?
No, it doesn't run. My nose just gets cold.
Oh, okay. Well, it gets cold. Okay. But only if in the movie they're cold.
What do you mean they are cold?
Like,
Like
he has one
the
nose.
characters on
movie?
the screen are cold.
No.
That's nothing to
Has
do
nothing to
with-
do with the
It's
characters
not
on
like
the screen.
sympathetic chilliness. Like, oh man, it looks really cold in White Fang. I feel this right now.
I thought it was like, what do they call it when you have like a reaction that's not based
Like
in
a
reality?
Psychosomatic.
Yeah,
Yeah, or a placebo effect.
Okay.
that's not placebo effect.
It's not?
No, placebo effect
No.
is when you take something or you do something and you believe that that's giving you some sort of reaction, but it's really not.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what I thought a placebo effect was. But I thought maybe what I was describing also encompassed the idea of like something is affecting you, your body's reacting to it, even though you're not actually being affected by it.
I would say placebo effect falls under the umbrella of psychosomatic,
Gotcha.
but it is not the same as, oh, they're cold, so I feel cold also, or something like that.
We
Sure.
should rename our podcast Pedant Talk.
Pedant talk. It's poor pedant talk, though. I feel like we're 75% sure what we're talking about. Combined knowledge, the three of us.
Oh,
So-
I'm sure what I'm talking about.
We
I'm
can
fine with it.
we can muscle our way through it, but
We can change the format to exclusively retrospectives on dirigibles.
ooh.
Hey, James, you've added this to your knowledge. This is you brought it back. You use it in sentences. This is now something you know.
Absolutely. I've worked it into every day of my life since
I love it.
a couple
Can we
weeks ago.
Can we call the podcast the Diretrable?
No,
Okay.
Wow.
no, we can't.
Wow.
Episode 611. Thanks for being here with us, guys. We're going to talk Saltburn, which is a new movie in theaters. We're also going to run down our top 10 movies with a place in the title.
And in case you didn't realize why we're doing that list, it's because Saltburn is the name of a house in the movie
Spoiler
Saltburn.
alert.
It's not
Which-
a spoiler.
I learned watching this movie.
It's still not a spoiler.
So Saltburn stars, spoiler alert, Barry Keoghan.
Right. Before we do all that, though, we need to remind you there's a video version of this podcast on YouTube. Go check it out there. Search Cinereelists, find us, and subscribe and watch while you listen. You could also support us on Patreon, patreon.com/Cinereelists. Support us on Patreon, and you'll get hours and hours and hours and hours of after show audio, which is typically evergreen, too, because it's normally us goofing off.
Do you call it evergreen?
Yeah, evergreen.
Like as in fresh or new?
Like
As in always
never,
alive.
never goes bad. Never
Oh.
gets old. Never outdates.
Huh. Okay, I've never heard that before, but
Mm,
I believe
well, you got to work it into your
Yeah. You say evergreen, he says dirigible. Give me
Right.
one.
oh,
Every-
retrospective too.
every episode of the original retrospective is evergreen.
There you go. Yeah, so check us out on Patreon, support us there, leave us an Apple Podcast review. That's free. We appreciate that. 5 stars only. Or send us an email to heyguys@cinereelists.com, REEL with an S on the end. Send a comment, question, list suggestion, movie suggestion, etc. I think also, before we jump into Saltburn, we should give the listeners a heads up that our Christmas episode is coming shortly. I would say we got 2 weeks, I believe.
I think it's 2 weeks. Yes.
Yeah. 2 weeks before we're releasing that. There, tradition compels us to watch Christmas movies at Christmas time and record an episode. And so we wanted to give you heads up on the titles that we will most likely be watching. Number 1, Genie, which is on what? Paramount Plus, I think it is. Peacock. Yeah. Genie on Peacock. That's one of them.
I've seen it. I watched it already. I watched it already.
Okay.
Good for you.
No spoilers. Don't tell us what you thought. Keep that to yourself. Let's see. What else was on the list? Kyle, what was the name of your movie?
The Apology.
The Apology.
Which is on Hulu.
Okay. And I'm forgetting the third.
We're planning on doing Holdovers, assuming we can all get to it.
Right. But there was a backup.
Santa Claus the movie.
Santa Claus the movie. Not the one with Tim Allen.
Not the Santa Claus. This is Santa Claus : the movie. Like Star Trek the movie. Kind of like Santa Claus the movie.
Transformers : the movie. Yeah.
From the mid 90s or early 90s?
Mid 80s.
Mid 84, I think Zach said.
And from the looks of it, it kind of feels like Elf is based on this movie, like a parody of this movie. Just looking at the trailer, it looks a lot like the plot of Elf.
Interesting. Okay. Well,
just today I got roped in by a clickbait title where Will Ferrell has been revealed to have turned down $10 million for an Elf 2.
I've read that before. Yeah.
How do you guys feel about that?
I appreciate his artist integrity. I think he's like, look, I made a classic Christmas movie, and we're gonna leave it there.
You think that's
why is that artistic integrity?
Because I think he probably thought there wasn't another well to go to. It's like we did it already. What more story can we tell that can be as fresh and as classic as the original?
Do you think it's possible? I think that people could easily come up with a worthwhile sequel.
People talk about like the Santa Claus, but I don't see a lot of people talking about the Santa Claus 2 or the Santa Claus 3. Like there's
what
definitely
about Home Alone
diminishing
2?
Returns in those. Or Home Alone 2. Diminishing
People
returns
don't talk about
sure.
Home Alone 2 in the same voice.
You guys are crazy. Home Alone 2 is as good as Home Alone 1.
Oh, no. I hard disagree.
Well, how would you know? When was the last time you saw Home Alone 2?
He's not even in his own home.
See, you still watch it. Classic.
No, I didn't. That's because Galen really wanted to watch it because he's watched Home Alone a couple times. And he's like,
Home Alone 2 is awesome.
It's not. When's the last time you watched it?
Last 2 Christmases ago.
2 Christmases ago. Okay. It really feels like let's play the hits. And that's a literal joke.
It's great. Plus more. It's double the hits.
No, but all it is the hits. Like Home Alone 2 took the last 15 minutes of Home Alone and said, let's make that the whole movie. And I really think that Home Alone, although it's remembered for that final act, there is so much more story to Home Alone. Where Home Alone 2 it is like, yeah, he's lost again, and let's just go through antics. Now, Tim Curry is awesome in Home Alone 2. I really like his character in it.
He's not involved in any of the antics you're talking about. He's in the story that takes place before the 15 minutes you're talking about.
No, he is, because they do the whole Angels with Dirtier Wings thing with Tim Curry. Don't you remember this from watching 2 Christmases ago? If you never remember what's in the movie, I don't even know if you remember if it's good or not.
No, you said the last 15 minutes of Home Alone, which is the antics where like they're getting really like the criminals are getting wrecked.
Yeah.
Right? That's not the Angels with Dirty Faces.
Yeah.
That's
Dirty Wings.
That happens. That happens in earlier in the movie. What I'm saying is Home Alone 2 does hit all the same beats of Home Alone 1, but it ratchets up everything, and it's awesome. I love Home Alone 2.
I'm glad you love it.
Are you saying Home Alone is the final destination of Christmas movies, Zach?
No, Die Hard is.
No. Die Hard's not even a Christmas movie, but let's
Die
not get into
Hard
that.
is the final destination of Home Alone, guys. Okay, let's just agree on that.
Okay, so I don't think it's necessary artistic integrity to turn down a sequel. Second, who cares? $10 million is nothing to Will Ferrell. He doesn't need $10 million. That number is just meaningless.
Well, I mean, 2003 Will Ferrell is much different than, I don't know what year he turned it down, but like 2003 when Elf came out, $10 million was probably a lot of money to him. I don't know.
I doubt he's. When was he offered 10
2
million?
years later or 10 years later? But I imagine that he was still a working actor. I mean, Elf kind of broke him out like to the general public, but I don't think he was making millions of dollars on movies quite yet.
Right, but when did he turn down the? By the way, this article in 2021 says he turned down 29 million.
Oh, he should have done it. Artistic integrity out the door.
Yeah, does it say when he turned down this? I imagine it was shortly after Elf came out was a hit. Is when
I think it was in 2021 because that's when all these articles are.
I think 2021 is when he said that he did it, but I don't know if he actually waited. I don't know if the offer came in 2021 or if the offer came in like 2005.
I don't think they were paying anyone $29 million in 2005, no matter how big of a star they were.
At that number, at 10 or 29, I would not begrudge him to take another swing at it, certainly. But I do like the idea that he has plenty of money. And if you're lucky enough to make a movie that's like as beloved, as widely as Elf is, to like enter kind of like the American Christmas movie lexicon, top 5 for most families to be watched every year, maybe it is not worth the money to just kind of potentially ruin it for people. I don't know. If that's his train of thought, I respect it.
It's my most watched movie on Letterboxd because we watch it every Christmas and I log it.
Yeah,
so
it makes sense. The point is, in 2 weeks, we're going to release a podcast where we discuss The Apology, Genie, Santa Claus, the movie from 1984, and potentially The Holdovers. And/or potentially The Holdovers. So if you want to pre-watch any of those, this is your 2-week notice to do that in advance.
You're on notice.
We're putting you on notice.
Ooh, can we put them on blast instead? That sounds more fun.
Nope. Only notice. I don't put people on blast. All right, let's jump into Saltburn. This movie is in theaters now. Here's a clip.
Oh, it'll be some awful stuff. Oh, some sort of hovelish squat.
And both his parents were dealing. God, and his mother's a drunk. I mean, babies can be really affected, traumatized.
Oh, they come out drunk.
Is that right? He had to put his fingers down his mother's throat to make her sick.
Farley, that's private stuff. Well, you told us in confidence.
His mother's sick. Darling. His mother was sick.
I think that's actually rather normal when you're poor. I think when you're poor, that sort of thing does happen a little bit more.
He's giving you a wonderful time.
Good luck. He doesn't smile much.
Farley seems to think he's ghastly. Why are you friends with him?
Dirt poor, not attractive, and his parents are drug addicts. I can't actually understand.
And here he is. No, we were just talking about
Don't be silly. Farley, you just make up the most awful things. Of course we weren't. Hello, Oliver, darling. Oh, beautiful eyes. Oh, how wonderful.
Yeah, I told you it wasn't a minger.
Oh, but darling, you're kind about everyone. You can't be trusted.
That was Saltburn, a 2023 black comedy psychological thriller, written, directed, and produced by Emerald Fennell. The movie stars Barry Keoghan, Jacob Elordi, Rosamund Pike, Richard E. Grant, Allison Oliver, Archie Madekwe, and Carey Mulligan, amongst others. The official IMDb plot synopsis for Saltburn is: a student at Oxford University finds himself drawn into the world of a charming and aristocratic classmate who invites him to his eccentric family's sprawling estate for a summer never to be forgotten. Pretty good plot description, I would say. That's the setup. That's the setup. Yeah.
That works.
They're leaving a lot out. Speaking of leaving a lot out, we're going to separate this review into 2 sections. Right now, we're going to talk spoiler free. So if you haven't seen the movie, we're going to not reveal things, hopefully, that would potentially ruin the movie for you or ruin the experience of watching the movie. So feel free to listen on spoiler free for our thoughts on the movie. if you'd like to hear spoiler talk about the movie, we're going to place that at the end of the episode if you're listening on a podcast player. If you're not listening on a podcast player and you're listening on YouTube, then click the link in the description to jump to the spoiler discussion. All that being said, we've seen it. What'd you guys think of Saltburn?
Kyle?
This is when we play chicken. Let's see.
Who's going to say first what
Who's
they thought
going to
about
go
it?
first? Yeah.
I'll go first if you want me to.
No, that's all right. I'll go first. All
right. No, I'll go first.
No, please. I really want to.
Please, I'll let you. Go ahead.
Please don't let me. Thank you. I knew nothing about this movie going in. This is one of the few movies that I went in cold. Never saw a trailer. Didn't even read a synopsis. I knew Barry Keoghan was in this. Mm-hmm. And then partially through, I'm like, oh, hey, that's Elvis from Priscilla. That's Evil Elvis is in this movie also. That's cool.
Sure. I'm in the same boat.
Okay.
Except I didn't know Elvis was in it.
Well, I didn't know he was in it until I saw him in it. So, but
okay.
Zach, you didn't realize at all that was him?
No, yes. I didn't pre-know that. I knew that once I saw him.
Correct. I also did not pre-know that. I didn't have pre-knowledge of it. Anyway, so I went into this movie cold. I did know it was Emerald Fennell. And I really liked Promising Young Woman. I thought that was her first movie. That was a very challenging and provocative movie, but had a lot to say. And I thought it was done very, very well. So I was looking forward to her follow-up. And this movie starts, and it's sort of a, I don't know, I don't get too much in, I guess, the plot, but it's sort of a setup of you get this kind of outsider played by Barry Keoghan who becomes obsessed with Evil Elvis, Jacob Elordi.
Mm-hmm.
And I was kind of expecting a talented Mr. Ripley-like story would be the best way to put it. And as this movie went on, I just realized I did not like or care for any of these characters. I really felt no sympathy for anyone. Maybe Venetia a little bit towards the end. I started actually thinking oh, she might be the most sympathetic character in this whole story. I found this movie provocative or edgy just for the sake of it. There's definitely some memorable scenes in this that we can talk about in spoilers, and some scenes that make you maybe stir in your seat a little bit. But it didn't really feel like those scenes were doing anything to serve the greater story besides being oh, look how weird this is right now. So they just kind of felt, again, provocative for the sake of being provocative. And finally, the Oliver character we're presented with did not mesh with the Oliver character that we ended up with, which we get into spoilers too. I didn't really believe how that character was presented to us towards the end. I know I'm really talking in broad terms here because I don't want to spoil anything, but I just did not enjoy watching this movie for all those reasons. It's probably the best way to put it. It was interesting at first, and then as it tried to push it more and went into as the summer went on the house, I was just nope, I'm not enjoying this movie, and I don't think this movie has anything interesting to say about maybe the class warfare it was presenting, nor do I think it said anything very well. So it just seemed to be a provocative film is empty. It was like a piece of candy.
Wow.
Okay. James, what did you think?
I want to go last.
What? You want to go first?
Well, if I can't be first, I'd rather be last.
Wow. All right. It's all about James. All about James.
No, forget it. I'll go now.
No, guys, it's fine. I'll go. So I went into this movie cold. Didn't know anything.
I will say that I enjoyed it. I thought it was weird, kind of deliciously weird. The presentation of it and the vibes all the characters are giving off. It was hard to tell just who was playing a game and who was playing it straight. And I enjoyed kind of that back and forth that it felt like the filmmaker was playing with the audience. I was a little afraid that they weren't going to pay off any of that back and forth, that all the characters acting strange was just, there was going to be no purpose to it. But I found when the movie kind of makes its turn that they gave us satisfying reasons for their oddness. And I probably enjoyed the most about that. I also loved the setting and how it was photographed. Like I recently watched a YouTube video with a real estate agent where he's walking through like an impossibly expensive mansion in like Italy or something like that.
Oh, it's
And
called a
it
villa.
Say that again.
Sorry. Go on.
Villa. And it was a location that looked very similar to this. And it was interesting how much the shooting style of this mirrored that one-off YouTube video. You know what I mean? Where they're just like touring a mansion. They kind of, this movie gave me similar vibes. Anyway, I enjoyed all the performances. I thought Barry Keoghan in a lead role, which is like not something you see him in very often. He's very often like a supporting character of a movie that's not widely seen. In this one, he's front and center. And he was interesting to watch. I'll agree with Kyle that I'm not sure I went through like a full range of emotions with him. Not sure I felt bad for him in the beginning and then changed my opinion of him at any point or anything like that. But his character's actions to me made sense by the end of it, in like a very specific way that we'll discuss in spoilers for sure. So between interesting characters to watch, doing things I've never seen on a screen before, and a setting being treated in a way that I've never seen. Like normally, if you're in a place like this, you're probably in a period piece. You're not in a modern set movie. And so it was interesting to see how a family would exist in a world like this today.
Well, it is a period piece.
15 years ago.
A period piece in that it's still post 9/11. You know what I mean?
I did think the very opening shot was clever because you're following Oliver through Oxford. And you really couldn't tell what year it was set in, just because Oxford is such it's like the Ivy League of the UK. It's such an old school, and people are dressed sort of like in coats and everything. So I'm watching this movie and like this could have been 100 years ago, and then it whips around. It says "Welcome Class 2006." I was like, okay. But I don't know if that was purposeful or not, but it definitely for the first 2 minutes I was not sure when this movie took place until we got that establishing banner.
Right. I mean, she held out for like a good minute and a half. I'm glad you made it through.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I wish all movies would right away state the year at the bottom and then
spell it out somehow visually on screen.
No, I thought it was clever. Again, whether it was purposeful or not, I thought it was clever that you weren't really sure when this movie took place.
I'm pretty sure it was on purpose.
Yeah, that's why. I mean, I'm saying clever. You're saying on purpose.
Sure.
We're saying the same thing.
I hear you. Yeah, overall, I enjoyed it. Also, my before we let Zach talk here, my audience was an interesting demographic that I was not expecting. Yeah.
Was it all like young teenagers?
It was all like, I would say older teenagers and like college age, maybe. Mostly female.
Yeah.
And that confused me. Before the movie started, I was like, maybe they're just really into promising young women because it has like, feminism vibes to it or something. I don't know. And so then the movie started, and when Jacob Elordi came on screen, people, not many of them, but a couple of them squealed, like to themselves. And I was like, okay, so he's like a heartthrob that I don't know about, because I saw Priscilla. Nobody was doing that during Priscilla. Right. So, and then afterwards, I looked on Wikipedia, and he's in Euphoria, which is a show I've never seen, and that makes total sense to me.
Which I believe a younger demographic watches Euphoria than us.
Right. Although I do want to watch it. I've heard it's good, like no matter what age you are, but I haven't personally seen it. So it had just been a while since I'd seen a guy come on screen and had women squeal in a movie theater. I'm not sure I've ever experienced that, to be honest. Yeah. Anyway, Zach, were women squealing in your movie theater?
More like squirming, I would say.
Okay.
During certain parts of the movie. But
that definitely happened too.
Yeah. My theater was a rowdy bunch, which is the right way to see this movie, I would say. Mm-hmm. And yeah, I would say the average age in my theater was 19, maybe.
Yeah, I would say my theater was maybe not as young as 19, but definitely people in their 20s. I was on the older end of people in this movie.
Yeah. But one thing I think that was lost on my audience at first, and then they came around to it, was that this movie in a big way is a comedy.
Yeah.
Or maybe a satire is a better way to say it. But
Dark comedy. Yeah.
Yeah, dark comedy. And so they started laughing towards the second half, when I think that if they watched the second half first, they'd be laughing more in the first half too. But yeah, so this movie is certainly shocking in some ways.
Mm-hmm.
You kind of don't know how far it will take things, and then at a certain point you do know how far it'll take things, and so that shock wears off a little bit, and I think that probably ran cold for Kyle. I don't know, man. I thought this movie was very interesting, and it's provocative for sure. I enjoyed myself a lot. I think this is. I'm glad I saw this movie. I don't think the actual like plot, the characters are fairly derivative. I mean, you could describe this movie by just a couple movies, pushed together, probably.
Mm-hmm.
But with enough kind of just like off-kilterness to it, just kind of boldness to it that like makes it its own little special document, I think. Anyway, it held my interest the whole time. Kyle said he wasn't really invested in any of these characters.
No, I didn't say invested. I said I didn't find anything sympathetic. I didn't really care for any of them. Like, what happened to them?
Sorry, I interpreted you saying you didn't care what happened to them as a lack of investment. Was that inappropriate?
No, I mean, like, I thought, I don't know. I don't know if we're separating performances from characters. I was definitely, none of the performances bothered me. It just, as these characters go on and stakes are being ratcheted up, I was like, I didn't care as things were happening to these characters.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed the characters, except for maybe Archie, the cousin. I didn't really care about
Farley.
him.
Farley.
Yeah.
He was
Farley,
he was the worst. I didn't like his performance either. Like, I didn't like him as a character, and I
He
thought
just
the
had a
performance
place.
was bad. Yeah.
But the mother and the father, I loved so much. Remind me of the actress who plays the mother again.
Rosamund
Pike.
She's a superstar, man.
Yeah.
Why is she not more famous than she is? I know she's famous, but like, she's really talented.
Sure.
Yeah. She's great. The dad, I thought, was super funny as just like a completely aloof, wealthy idiot.
Carey Mulligan as the friend too had me rolling. Like the friend that had nothing to say, that just wanted to hang out at the house. They were trying to kick her out constantly.
Yeah, I liked her as a concept. Her actual role and performance, I think, did almost nothing for me. She was such a small part of the movie.
Yeah, she only has a couple scenes and then she's gone.
But as a concept, I liked her place in the film. And then, so I thought that Jacob Elordi as Felix was awesome. I really enjoyed his character. I thought he gave a really good kind of tightrope performance, because he could go, his character, you could hate him or you could think that he does something wrong. And he walks that tightrope really well. And I actually think that his character is fairly sympathetic, more sympathetic than Barry Keoghan presents him. Mm-hmm. Like he mostly, like, people just in general like him, and that should be annoying because he's like uber rich and like attractive, but he's also a fairly nice guy, right? I mean, he's not, he goes out of his way to befriend Barry, and he's fairly just kind of a chill guy.
Mm-hmm.
He's
Felix,
likable, I think.
Felix.
Yeah, Felix.
Yeah, I don't think he's as nice as the movie presents, just because of some things that Venetia, his sister, says. I think Venetia knows who he really is.
I gotcha. I think Venetia has an idea of who he is. I don't know if that's who he really is. That's Venetia's idea of him. But we'll talk about it on spoilers. That'd be a fun thing to talk about.
I'm on Team Venetia for this movie, so.
And Barry Keoghan is just, I think you guys know I'm a huge fan of his acting ability. I think he is so talented and intriguing, and I'm just drawn to him in every single role that he's been in. I think he brings so much interesting stuff to his roles. So yeah, I was kind of entranced by this movie. I liked it a lot. I don't recommend this movie to anyone.
No,
because I don't want my name attached to it in any way. So don't see this movie. And if you do, James sent you. But yeah, this movie was wild. It was certainly an experience to watch in the theater. Like a communal experience to watch in the theater. And yeah, I found it interesting.
Do you think it would play differently as far as your enjoyment level if you had watched this at home a month after release?
I think it certainly could have. Yeah.
My theater was pretty quiet the whole way through. Like there was during a rather bloody scene, we can say, someone got up and I thought they were walking out, but they just went to the bathroom.
What did you say to them? What did you yell across the theater to them?
I said, sit down. No, I didn't yell anything. I said, Taylor Swift is next door. But I think maybe my theater overall seemed uninterested also, because there were, you remember like there's a very cringe comedy scene involving dinner and curtains towards the end of the movie. And like middle of that scene, which I thought that scene was great. Like there are some great moments in this movie. I don't want you guys to think I hated this movie or I was like, oh, this whole thing was a turd. Because I think I agree with many of your points on the performances, on like some of the key scenes, how it was filmed. I can agree with you all that stuff, a lot of that stuff. Anyway, so there is this rather cringe, funny dinner scene, and like there's people in the middle of that scene getting up and using the bathroom, and like that was the scene I was maybe most interested in what was happening, just because it was so awkward, and you were seeing all these different characters how they actually were trying to express their emotion in that moment. And then people going to the bathroom. I was like, okay, you're not interested at all in this movie if you're just like, this is the time you choose to go up and leave.
Sure.
So yeah, my theater was not feeling it, and maybe I was that was rubbing off on me. I'm not sure.
Placebo effect.
Yeah, I think it's more psychosomatic.
Could be. I mean, my
Zach,
theater.
I was trying to think of that same joke. So I'm glad you brought us there.
My theater went through the range. I mean, we had squealing and squirming and cringing and laughing, and it was fun just to experience it with other people, for sure.
Maybe it's like I'm in the Midwest and everyone's just very stated.
Anything else non-spoiler for Saltburn? I'd say if you're a fan of like early aughts indie rock, it's a good movie too. There's lots of music in here where I was like, I haven't heard this song in a long time.
I do miss like the techno that used the saw wave all the time. We need to bring that back.
Sure. Yep. I enjoyed all of that.
I don't recall any music from the film.
No.
I didn't notice there's any music.
I don't think it was as memorable as Promising Young Woman. Like that movie had some music drops that I still remember to this day.
Yeah. Let's say somebody liked Promising Young Woman, right? They saw that movie, they liked it. Emerald Fennell, now it's her second movie. Should they be excited to see this, or should they temper their excitement, leverage it because this one's going to be a little more rocky?
I'm obviously in the temper camp, but I'm curious to know, like Zach, because you like this movie. Would you tell someone to temper their expectations?
I don't think Promising Young Woman is the vibe to tell if you would like this movie or not. I think it's The Favorite. If you liked The Favorite, you would like this movie.
I liked The Favorite, though. I gave The Favorite 4 stars.
Well, how about this? If you'd liked The Favorite, then this movie might interest you.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, that might be.
I don't think it shares a ton in common with Promising Young Woman. Like, one thing that I found very interesting, and I didn't mention this yet, and this is non-spoilery. I think this movie was definitely directed by a woman. Obviously it was, so we have confirmation. But
wow.
But I felt like this movie
you expect from Cinereelists.
I felt this movie had the female gaze.
Okay.
Instead of the male gaze. And like especially the way it would film Jacob Elordi, the Felix character, right? It was different than you would get in a different movie. Like it just had a different sensibility to it in a way that was fresh, I thought. So that was interesting thing that I noticed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that makes sense. They definitely kind of make him into what do they call it? Like the manic pixie dream girl is like the traditional way of describing some of this effect. They kind of do that to him where they don't give him much to say in the movie as far as like completing his character. He's kind of vapid through the movie, I would say, compared to some of the other characters, but yet they linger on him and other characters are hanging on his words. For what reason? Because he's attractive, pretty much, and charismatic on some level.
Yeah. And rich.
And rich.
It has a title.
For sure.
That's right.
I also
father
really
was
enjoyed
a sir, wasn't it? Or were they earls or dukes or something?
Something like
Okay.
Landed gentry. And I also really enjoyed the house tour.
Oh, when they first arrive and this is the red room.
That's great.
This is the long room. Yeah, and but every room was described literally, which I thought was pretty.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right. Let's letterbox this and then get into some spoiler chat. What are you guys gonna give Saltburn?
This might be a little harsh, but I think I overall did not like this movie, even if there were moments. I'm gonna go with 2 stars.
Oh, man. Brutal. I'm gonna give this 4 stars.
Yeah, I'm gonna reward original cinema, right? That tells this is not Transformers 7. It's Saltburn 1. 4 stars for me too.
Yeah, I cannot wait for Saltburn 2.
I would watch Saltburn 2.
I don't even know what that would be about.
Salt burning. Salt burning.
Salt burning.
Okay, so 2, definitely a split. I would say 2 4s and a 2 for Saltburn. Just a reminder, if you want to hear spoiler discussion, listen at the end of the episode if you're listening on a podcast app. If you want to jump to spoilers right now and you're listening on YouTube, watching on YouTube, then click the spoiler link in the description. All right, this is our top 10 movies with a place in the title. I'll go first.
Well, James, I will say to start, I'm trepidatious that not all yours will have a place in the title.
No, they all have a place in the title.
Okay, I'm very excited. Okay,
we figured it out. We talked it out on Discord.
God, I really hope that all of James's has the literal word place in each one. That would be
Place Behind the Pines.
right. That
The
would
Good
be,
Place.
Oh, I wish I had that idea earlier. I would have made that list, and all my movies just had the word place in it. So,
Sure.
Yeah.
No,
All
I mean,
right.
mine's pretty conventional, I would say. Starting with my number 10, The Rock from 1996.
Yeah.
Which is about a prison, maximum security federal prison on Alcatraz Island, right outside of San Francisco. It's a Michael Bay movie. I'm sure most of the people listening to this at least know what the movie The Rock is. But for those of you that don't, let me go into a 10-minute explanation of the plot. No, fun action movie, really fun, with a great cast, and it's a 90s action classic, and one of the few Michael Bay movies that I don't mind the spinning camera on. My number 10.
Nice. My list is, if you know me and my taste in movies, is fairly conventional list.
Okay.
None of these movies will surprise anyone, but my number 10 is Room. And it all takes place, half of it takes place in a room called Room. And I don't know if it's called Room, but we know where it is.
They call it Room.
Do
Yeah.
they?
Yeah,
Okay.
they call it Room.
do.
It's
Yeah, they call it
room, window. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, because remember,
Um,
that's like part of the story is she's telling Jacob, whatever his name, like she's like naming things in the room.
Yeah. So that movie's so good. About an abducted woman who has a child while abducted, and what she does to survive and help her son thrive, even in that situation. It's so good. So my number 10, Room.
So I ordered, these are all movies that I like. They're all movies that are 4 stars or above, many of these top 100 movies, but I ordered them in how much I want to go to the place that is in the
Love
movie.
it. Fantastic.
And my number 10 is also Room. Because I can't think of anything worse than being locked up in a single room for your entire life, being assaulted regularly, and having to raise a child. So
Yeah.
It's a bingo for different reasons.
It's a bingo.
Yeah.
Amazing. But this is a great movie, though. Great Brie Larson performance, great Jacob Tremblay. And I think Zach and you and I, we decided this was our best film of the 2010s when we did our list together. So
yeah.
Great movie. Don't want to be there.
I don't want to be there either. Didn't make my list. I should say my list is all place or movies with a place in the title. Kind of organized by how much I like them, but don't take that too seriously. Because I
like the place or like the movie?
The movie.
Okay.
The movie. Number 9. Some of them were picked just because I like the place.
Okay.
But like my number 9. Actually, it's not the only reason I picked my number 9, but we'll get to it. Orange County from 2002, which is a comedy that I brought up a couple times over the course of this podcast. It's a comedy I really like. It's a chill vibes comedy, I would say. It's not a laugh a minute. It's a Southern California based movie. I like the title because not only is it referencing Orange County, California, which is where I grew up, but also I currently live on the other side of the country in Orange County, Florida. So it works on both sides. This is a fun comedy for sure, starring a young Colin Hanks and also a relatively young Jack Black. This is before he kind of became movie star. I lead all my own movies, Jack Black. This was when he was kind of doing bit roles. He plays the older brother, the slacker older brother. And Catherine O'Hara's in the movie as well. Always enjoy her. John Lithgow's hilarious in it. Lily Tomlin, a bunch of older comedians who were in this movie. And written by Mike White, who directed School of Rock. And so if you like the heart of that movie, you should definitely check out Orange County because it has similar vibes minus the musicality. Orange County.
Is School of Rock Jack Black's either breakout role or his first lead role?
I don't know if it's his first lead, but I would say it's his breakout.
Okay.
How do you feel about that, Zach?
What about, is it High Fidelity that he's in?
He's supporting though.
But I mean, that could be a breakout role though. Like I see a breakout role as like the one where you're playing a supporting character, be like, oh, who's that? Like you actually want to figure out who that actor is or what's their
people
name
noticed
is.
him.
Yeah,
I would say the first time I was aware of Jack Black was, well, the first time I was aware of him was when he was doing his comedy stuff on
Tenacious D.
Yeah, when he was doing Tenacious D on what's the name of that show? Why am I drawing a blank?
The Tenacious D show.
No, it was Mr. Show.
No, Tenacious D was on Mr. Show. Jack Black was on a couple episodes of Mr. Show, but never the D.
I thought Tenacious D was like a segment on Mr. Show before it was its own show.
I can promise you, as someone who's watched every episode of Mr. Show an obsessive amount of times.
Okay.
I'll
give it to you because I've only seen Mr. Show once.
Okay.
So, and that was a long time ago, like 20 plus years ago. So I'll give it to you. Yeah. Check out Orange County.
Cool. Is it my turn?
Yes, it is.
Mr. Smith Goes to Washington, my number 9.
Nice.
Jimmy Stewart goes to Congress, and it's awesome. He's great. This is maybe my second favorite Jimmy Stewart film, and he's awesome because he's just like this, like totally moral, like good guy who just can't be corrupted, and if he'll go down swinging. Like you just can't wear him down. Like if he has to die with his integrity, he will. And I love that. And he's perfect in it. His voice, when he's losing his voice on the floor of Congress, so good. Yeah. So number 9, Mr. Smith Goes to Washington.
I never rewatched that. I think the only time I've ever seen that was with you, Zach, and I was bored. So that's a rewatch. My number 9 is Snowpiercer. This is a 2013 movie directed by Bong Joon-ho, starring Chris Evans, amongst other people. This is a dystopian film about a train that is circling the globe in an post-apocalyptic world, and this train is divided by classes, where the poorest, the lowest of classes people live in the back of the train, and the richest and the operators live in the front. And Chris Evans and a band of others are trying to make their way through the train, violently at times, to find out what's at the front of it. And I do not want to live on this train. It seems pretty miserable. No matter who you are, everyone seems pretty unhappy on this train. And yeah, not worth it. But my number 9, great movie, Snowpiercer.
Yeah, that train's the worst.
Yeah. Not as bad as living in a room all by yourself with your child, but
Snowpiercer is the name of the train, right?
it is the name of the train, yes.
Is that a place? Is the train a place?
Once people live there, I would say yes.
I would say, yeah, it's the only place in the world. There's no more places.
There's still places. There might not be people at that place, but there's still places.
Okay.
So when I think of a place, I think the operative word is where. So when you're describing a place, you use the word where. So where do you live? Snowpiercer.
Yeah.
Okay.
How would you answer that question? If you lived on Snowpiercer,
But a place can be a
It's a-
place without people living there.
I
Oh,
agree.
sure.
Yeah.
But it's the where that I'm talking about, James. So if you lived on Snowpiercer, or you were going to Snowpiercer, or you were on top of Snowpiercer, and someone said, "Where are you?" What would you say?
Sure. I understand what you're saying, and I don't disagree. Just for the sake of time, do they actually refer to the train as Snowpiercer in that movie?
I don't think they do.
I don't know if the
Oh, they
train
don't?
is named Snowpiercer. I think the train is a Snowpiercer.
Yeah, I agree with James. Invalid list.
Okay, I thought the train was called the Snowpiercer.
No.
So that is
I don't remember, to be honest.
Yeah.
Don't remember, but off the top of my head, I feel like maybe they don't actually refer to the train as Snowpiercer.
I just
hold on. Wait.
Yeah.
So I'm reading Letterboxd. In a future where a failed global warming experiment kills off most of the life on the planet, a class system evolves aboard the Snowpiercer.
Okay. So the train
a
is
train
named?
that travels around the globe.
Okay. Maybe they do. They actually name it in the movie.
They might, or maybe it was in like the novelization. Who knows?
In that case, list still valid.
What do you guys think about adding this to Cinereelists lore?
What?
Snowpiercer
What if we is a real train?
No. What if we just had a running list of penalty points anytime someone has a movie that doesn't technically belong on their list, and it adds a penalty point, and I keep a running tally, and it's
I'm
a
fine with
meaningless
it.
number.
Yeah, I like it. I mean, so do we have any penalty points? Or are we starting from right now?
We're all at 0.
We're all at 0.
penalty
We'll
points.
start at the highest we'll ever be. You can't get above 0.
What's
Yeah,
the name of that show with it's like an stage improv television show that originated in the UK.
Whose line is it anyway?
Whose line is this? Like Whose
Oh.
Line Is it anyway? Where you just figure out the amount of points on the fly you get for
Oh, the
an
points don't
offense?
matter kind of
Yeah.
thing. Yeah.
How egregious the number could go up,
Yeah,
but the
Yeah.
other two people have to agree on what that number is.
Zach's just has full control over how many
Yeah.
points.
Yeah, I'm good with that.
Okay. How about unless we're violating you, and then Kyle and I have to agree on the number of points.
Okay.
Sounds good. Is it my turn?
It's your
Yeah.
number 8. Yes.
All right. Number 8 is A Quiet Place, which has place in the title. Also where they live. They live in a quiet place, which is actually a town of Pauling in New York State. So,
Oh, hey.
which is where they filmed the movie. That's not the name of the place where they filmed the movie. But yeah, if you haven't seen A Quiet Place and you like horror movies that don't really fully go there, which is a cool genre, I like the heart of that movie as well as the tension. My number 8.
I wonder if there are 10 movies that have place in it. That would be awesome.
Guaranteed there are, because I looked at them.
Oh,
But a lot of them I hadn't seen because they were like movies I'll never see.
sure. Yeah.
It was like
All
a
right.
like a Lonely Place with Bogart.
Right. That's a movie I'll never see.
Oh, you should see
Oh,
it.
that's good.
It's maybe my favorite Bogart performance.
Yeah,
Mm.
it's
Yeah.
really good. James can't
Too
Can't
late.
see
We
it.
already made this list.
You can still see it.
No. Okay, my number 8 is Garden State from 2004.
Okay.
And this is written and directed by Zach Braff. And it was probably a movie of the moment, right? It hit this, no one had ever, he was a big fan of the Shins and certain type of music, and really included a heavy soundtrack in this movie, and it really colored the film. And Natalie Portman is Hispanic pixie dream girl, and it's just an interesting vibe movie, and I really liked it. So, and it takes place in New Jersey.
Not to argue each and every one of these, but
sure,
a Garden State. I mean, I understand people substitute New Jersey for they call New Jersey the Garden State.
Yes,
but does anybody say I live in Garden State?
They might say I live in the Garden State.
They would say they would use a the in it. Yeah, the Garden State.
All right.
Like someone could be like, hey, I live in New Jersey. And they're the Garden State. They're like, the Garden State. Like,
yeah. But the Garden State it's not a person. It's not a metal. It's not
place. Okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
It's not a thing. It's the place. All right. My number 8 is The Orphanage. This is a 2007 gothic horror directed by J.A. Bayona. This is about a woman who returns with her family to her childhood home, which used to be an orphanage. And this place is haunted, and especially haunted by this creepy ghost named Tomas, which is this little kid in Victorian garb who wears a burlap sack over his head. And the movie's great, and it's scary, and it's well told, but I do not want to live or visit a haunted orphanage with little creepy children running around the hallways.
You'd rather live there though than Snowpiercer.
Yeah, because I think at least you can leave. Like Snowpiercer, you're stuck there. Like Room, you're stuck unless you mount an escape. Snowpiercer, I don't even know. Maybe Snowpiercer is worse than Room. I'm not sure. Orphanage, it's within the greater world, so there's a chance you can leave that place, but I don't want to go in there in the first place.
Nice. Cool.
Still need to see that one. Sounds right up my alley, but I haven't gotten to it yet.
It's a top 100 for me.
Mm-hmm. I have gotten to my number 7, though. Movie I quite enjoy from 2008. It's Pontypool, which is a zombie movie set in Pontypool, Ontario, Canada. And it's about people at a radio station who are on the air live during a nighttime radio show when a zombie-esque outbreak happens. And so they're just kind of getting outside reports on what's going on. And then the movie goes from there. And I really enjoy it. My number 7.
Nice. My number 7 I watched today.
Oh, for the first time?
No.
Okay.
Maybe for the 10th time.
Okay. Is Robin Hood a place?
In our hearts. But no, my number 7 is Miracle on 34th Street.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And this is the version from the 40s, not the one from the 90s.
Mm-hmm.
And I watched it with my kids.
Did they
what they think?
for that?
Yeah.
They liked it. They were into it.
Really?
Yeah, they liked it.
I remember that movie.
Jacob, not so much. He's 3, but Kayla was 5 and she liked it.
And she was into it. Okay.
Yeah.
I remember being kind of bored by that movie. I was like 8 or 9 when I saw it.
Do you want to hear something really funny?
Well, yes.
So we were in the car discussing what movie. We were going to watch a Christmas movie when we got home. So discussing what movie it was. And I asked them, hey guys, do you want to watch a movie that's in color or in black and white? And Jacob said in color because he doesn't not interested in black and white movies. Right. And Kayla said in black and white because I want to learn about the past. And so yeah, she liked it. And I really like that movie. I think it's really great. And the place obviously is 34th Street. But yeah, that's one of my classic Christmas movies.
Nice. My number 7 is also a Christmas movie, ? And this is from 1953, directed by my favorite director by the numbers, Billy Wilder, Stalag 17. This is a movie about a World War II movie about American POWs who are in a German prison camp in the late 40s, or I say mid 40s, 1944, during Christmas. And this is kind of a I don't know if it's a dark comedy, a black comedy, a satire, but it's a serious movie about POWs, but it also has a streak of dark humor to it too, which I did not expect, but I really enjoyed. It's a great performance by William Holden, who's sort of a classic actor of that era. I really liked him in this, and I don't think I want to spend any time in a Nazi POW camp. Like I'd rather be there. I guess I'd rather be there than a haunted Gothic mansion, which when I say that out loud sounds weird, but I really do not want to be around those creepy ghost kids. So
yeah,
at least you can like leave the POW camp when the war is over. And, you know, if you stay around long enough, you become Hogan's Heroes, which this movie inspired. And they're just having fun on Hogan's Heroes. They made look at POW camp look to be a great time. So,
yeah.
My number 6 is from 1974. It's Chinatown, which is set in Los Angeles, California. I mean, some of it's set in Chinatown in LA, but not all of it.
Very little of it.
Yeah, it's a kind of crime drama starring Jack Nicholson and Faye Dunaway, directed by Roman Polanski. How do you guys feel about that? Have we?
You know, he's one of those directors where the stuff that I encountered before I knew what I knew, I like. It's hard for me to unlike that stuff. New stuff from him, I'm not really, or even movies I haven't seen of his, I'm just not as interested in getting into. So,
okay, fair enough.
Zach, I mean, I don't know. We've had a lot of debates about the art versus the artist.
Yeah, I don't really know.
So.
I don't really know.
All right, no opinion. Yeah, I think this is a great movie. Maybe made by a flawed person for sure, but still a great movie.
Maybe
that. You think it's definitely a great movie?
No, the flawed person part. Like we can.
No.
We can remove the maybe from that.
As far as I know, he seems like a flawed person.
He doesn't want to jump to
He's
conclusions.
been like evading capture in Switzerland for the last 30 years or something. So.
I mean, I could use harsher words, but I'm not going to. Yeah, this is a good one. Especially if you like Jack Nicholson, you want to see him kind of, I don't know, would you say this is Jack Nicholson at his prime? Like he's not quite doing the grumpy old man Jack Nicholson.
No, I think like he's still got The Shining in him. He still has
but The Shining's in the same time range, right?
Chinatown is mid 70s. I guess like 6 years later is The Shining. Yeah.
I'm talking 70s Jack Nicholson, where he's
you got Cuckoo's Nest also in 70s Jack Nicholson.
Right. Yep. There's lots of good Jack Nicholson movies. I think if you were to make a top 5 of the 70s for Jack Nicholson, Chinatown would definitely be in it.
I think
we need a top 5.
Jack Nicholson, as good as it gets with him, is probably, what is that Helen Hunt movie?
As good as it
gets.
Yeah.
Were you making a joke, or was that?
Yeah,
okay. I didn't know if you were serious or not. Or if you're trying to like do those roles, like as good as it gets, Batman, One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest is Joker or something.
Have either of you guys seen The Two Jakes?
That's the sequel to Chinatown, correct?
Yeah.
Never.
What?
There's a sequel to Chinatown.
Yep.
Also starring Jack Nicholson from 1990 called The Two Jakes.
This is a real movie, Zach.
Starring Jack Nicholson.
Wow. And the last line is, "Forget it, Jake. It's still Chinatown." And then he goes, "Thanks, Jake." Yeah.
Also directed by Jack Nicholson.
Oh no.
Harvey Keitel's in it.
Yep. Madeline Stowe. David Keith.
Keith David?
Tilly.
David Keith.
David Keith.
Who's David Keith?
Not Keith David. David Keith was in a bunch of movies in the 90s and beyond. He was in
Richard Farnsworth is in it.
Yeah.
I like him. James Hong's in it.
David Keith's a character actor you've definitely seen.
I'm trying to get a picture. It's slowly. Oh, I recognize
You would know him from, I don't know, Behind Enemy Lines.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at like it's like Firestarter, Officer and Gentleman, U-571.
It's
Raw
a bunch
Justice.
of like genre movies from that time.
Yeah,
I would say.
I'm sure I could recognize him in a movie, but yeah, I can't pick him out. I'm like, oh yeah, he's the guy from blah blah, that movie.
Anyway, Chinatown, the nose scene will stay in my memory for a lifetime. my number 6.
I'm interested in the two Jakes.
You can report back to us then.
I'll report back to you.
Oh, I want to see it too. I don't care what Zach thinks about it. I got to see it on my own. I mean, I do care what he thinks about it, but it's not going to affect whether I watch it or not.
Okay. My number 6 is Last Year at Marion Bad. A movie that I have tried to champion several times. I don't think I've convinced anyone ever anywhere to watch it. But that's a shame because it's awesome.
You convinced me to watch it.
Did I?
Yeah.
You
And
watched
did
it?
you like it?
Not particularly. I didn't hate it. I didn't hate it.
That's okay. It's a French movie. It's pretty postmodern. It's about a guy goes to a hotel at Marienbad and he meets a woman that he's convinced he's met before. And so he's trying to convince her that they've met before at this hotel. And she doesn't remember him, or maybe she does. Maybe this is all just a game that they're playing. Maybe, who knows? It's an endless maze of a hotel with these meandering conversations trying to suss out what happened and what's real and who remembers what. And it's just awesome. It's so great. And I like it a lot. So it's called Last Year at Marienbad. It's from 1961.
For the record, I also have seen Last Year at Marienbad, and I watched it September 29th, 2018, well within your time window of probably trying to convince people to watch this. So,
okay, well, I've made a difference. What'd you rate it?
3.5 stars.
Oh,
okay. He liked it. Hey, Mikey, he liked it.
Sure, better than average. Not amazing, but pretty good.
3.5's pretty good.
Yeah,
that's
for an old movie.
Stars.
For a black and white old movie.
Yeah,
that's pretty good.
It is interesting to watch and imagine that like both Stanley Kubrick and David Lynch have probably watched this movie also, and it influenced them separately in how they made their movies.
Totally. Yeah, it definitely influenced The Shining.
For sure. Yeah. Yep. All right. My number 6 is also a strange French postmodern film called Dunkirk by famous French director Christopher Nolan. And this is a war movie about, I don't know if it's called the Battle of Dunkirk, but it's a World War II battle that took place in Dunkirk, England, France, Belgium. Where's Dunkirk?
Don't ask me.
France. They were trying to get across the channel.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. France, not Belgium. And it's, I mean, this is a well-made Christopher Nolan movie where it's telling 3 separate stories that kind of converge all together famously. He does that very well. It's got a great cast. And I do not want to be in war, especially that battle itself looked pretty hopeless with those people we're going through. But I guess it's better than being captured by Nazis. So I'll put Dunkirk 1 higher than Stalag 17.
Yeah. It's good movie. Fun roller coaster. Number 5, Planet of the Apes from 1968, which happens to be Earth in the future, which is definitely a place.
Spoiler.
And, great. Well, I guess that is a spoiler. Can you spoil a movie from 1968?
Of course you can.
I mean, you can, but are you responsible for spoiling it?
No.
I mean, it's a pretty famous twist.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, if it was like some gem of a movie that nobody's seen that I'm trying to sell people on and then I spoil it, that's offensive. But if you don't know where Planet of the Apes goes at this point, then I don't know what to tell you other than I'm sorry. Yeah, Planet of the Apes, great movie, great sci-fi. It's in my top 250 at least, maybe even top 100. For all I know, it's like number 19. I just don't remember.
It's not. It's not in your top 200.
It's not my top 200?
No.
Top 500. I bet it's there.
Guaranteed.
You
have Dawn of the Planet of the Apes in your top 200.
Oh, that one's even better than original Planet of the Apes. Yep.
I mean, is that a place? Are people saying, where'd you live? Oh, I live on the Planet of the Apes.
It's certainly a place.
No, I know. I'm doing the James Bond. Of course it's a place.
Yeah, my number 5.
Well, my number 5 is a movie Kyle doesn't care for, but it's Moulin Rouge! And
Is that the name of the theater?
It's
Yes.
the name of the place in Paris.
It's
Yeah.
the Red
The
Mill
establishment.
is what it translates to.
Yes. And I think this movie's great. We watched it a ton in college. It's a movie where I've seen the first half maybe 5 times and the second half maybe 20. So I really like this film. It's just a fun watch from an interesting director. So Moulin Rouge, number 5.
That reminds me, one of my New Year's resolutions was to watch and rewatch a bunch of movies you guys recommended to me, both documentaries and rewatches, and I'm so not going to accomplish that resolution at all. So
I knew that when you asked us for the movies.
I went into it with full faith, and then you guys gave me the movies. I'm like, oh, wait a minute, I'm digging myself a hole here. So yeah. The preview of our Hangover episode. Kyle's resolutions did not go well. My number 5 is my third favorite movie of all time, Jurassic Park. And I don't need to talk about this movie. We talk about it a ton. Granted, I do not really want to visit Jurassic Park during the events of this movie because it turned out pretty poorly for everyone. Though apparently kids have plot armor, so that's great. I could go as a kid, but as like a 40-year-old dude, not gonna make it out of that movie. But I do want to go to a dinosaur zoo. And if there was one that was opened and it was safe, I would totally be there.
Do you think within your lifetime there'll be any version of that?
Ooh,
a dinosaur zoo?
Within my lifetime.
With actual dinosaurs or with just far better attractions that trick you into thinking there's dinosaurs?
No.
Wait.
Like living organisms.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like they're actually going to manufacture or
like clothes. Clone animals. Yeah.
Like they're going to have woolly mammoths in like a couple years.
So, like I could see there being a zoo of extinct creatures that are brought back.
Sure. Right.
Dinosaurs, I don't
Dino
know.
zoo.
That's a bit of that could just be too much of a scientific stretch with what we currently have. So Dino Zoo, I'm going to say probably not.
Okay.
Extinct Zoo, I think there's a greater than 50% chance.
Okay. Nice. James,
what's your number 4?
My number 4 is the movie District 9 from 2009, which is a fictional place, but it's a fictional place in a specific location, Johannesburg, South Africa. The movie actually names like the city that District 9
I think fictional is
supposedly
more appropriate for this movie list than a real place.
I'm saying there's no District 9 in Johannesburg, South Africa.
Right.
Even though in the movie they say there is one. But like some of these places are real places. Chinatown's a real place.
There's no Jurassic Park, James.
No, I'm just saying I think a list of fictional places is a better list than a list of real places.
Why?
Because
Just
the
different
movie
lists.
that the list goes with is a fictional place.
Sure.
No, Saltburn's
I don't
a real place.
understand what we're talking
Is it?
about. but
I believe
yeah.
Saltburn's a real estate. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
There was a credit at the end. I thought it said like thanks to the Saltburn estate. I could be wrong.
We never talked about the titles of Saltburn. I thought they were really interesting. They were kind of ugly and garish, but also like a throwback.
Oh, like the actual like font title.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was pretty wild. Anyway. District 9. Faux documentary that turns into a standardly presented movie. Kind of slow burn, turns from one form to another. And it's a body horror movie that's also a sci-fi movie. And it's a lovely film. My number 4, District 9.
Nice. My number 4 is Mulholland Drive.
Mm-hmm.
This is a David Lynch film from 2001. This is a famous road in Los Angeles. And this movie's crazy, but very memorable. There's this one scene where someone is singing at like a nightclub type thing, and that scene is like one of my all-time favorite scenes of all time. And so this movie is really, 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 really great. And Mulholland Drive, that's my place. Number 4.
That's not a movie for me. Got weird for weird's sake.
Oh, really?
When the like the little miniature parents are running around at the very end.
You just
Remember that?
described every David Lynch movie.
I know. I don't know if David Lynch is
And Honey,
my
I Shrunk the
director.
Kids.
Huh?
And Honey, I Shrunk the Kids.
Yeah. See, but that made sense. They had a shrinking machine. I got it, that one. So, so I'm reading that Saltburn was filmed at the Drayton House in Northamptonshire. So I could be completely wrong. I don't know if Saltburn's a real place. I, for some reason, thought it was, but it would make more sense it was fictional.
Also, doesn't matter in the least.
Doesn't matter for this list. But anyway. All right. Oxford University, also fictional. Did not know that. My number 4 is the previously mentioned Chinatown. I agree. This is the top 20 movie for me. It is a great neo-noir, great Jack Nicholson performance, great script. It's dark. We don't see a ton of Chinatown in this movie, but I altogether enjoy going to the various Chinatowns and cities I've been to. It's just a different food, different culture, different place to be. So I would not mind even going to the 1940s LA Chinatown that is shown in this movie. Maybe just, don't get involved with the water wars going on.
Sure.
You'd rather go to Chinatown than Jurassic Park.
Well, I mean, I think my chance of death is lower in Chinatown than Jurassic Park. So
there's a fun side to Jurassic Park and a not so fun. You would have fun.
Everyone dies.
In Chinatown?
In Chinatown?
Everyone in Chinatown dies.
Well, everyone in the world dies eventually.
That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
So everyone's gonna die. You might as well see some dinosaurs.
Yeah, I don't want to move that death closer than it needs to be. So.
Do you want to live your life and go to like a Chinese food buffet and then die? Or see dinosaurs and then die?
Do you equate the food in Chinatown with being like Chinese buffet that you find in small town America? Because that is way different food. And I think of Chinese people who live in Chinatown should take offense to that statement.
I didn't say anything about small town America. You're saying they don't have Chinese buffets in Chinatown?
I don't know if they do, but I don't go to Chinatown for the Chinese buffet because I get the Chinese buffet anywhere else in this country. I go to Chinatown for the authentic experience for the food.
They don't have buffets in China?
The Chinese food?
Okay, but are you okay? You're not seriously saying that the Chinese food you get at the buffet is actual like capital C Chinese food?
I'm not saying that, and I've never said that. I refer to Chinese food.
Okay, well, I'm going to say...
You took that as like some middle America Chinese restaurant. I don't know why. I've been to China. I went to a buffet in Beijing.
Yeah, but when you say Chinese buffet, that implies a certain level of food quality and food flavors.
That's fair.
Apparently does to you.
I think it does to
most
the majority of Americans.
Yeah, most Americans. I would say that has a negative connotation.
So yeah, when you're like, oh, you just want to go see a Chinese buffet, you also said it with like a pejorative.
Did I? No, yeah. What I'm saying is I would rather go eat. I would rather see dinosaurs than eat Chinese food.
Fair. I would like to see dinosaurs. I don't know if I'll go to Jurassic Park, and I'm talking that's the place. And Jurassic Park seems to cut some corners. They said spare no expense, but they obviously spared some expenses there. Mm-hmm. And I think in Chinatown, the worst thing you get is possible food poisoning. So I'm okay with that.
There's also rampant violence there, right? Like at the end, like it's just like, hey, it's Chinatown. Violence happens. Yeah. Nothing you can do about it.
Yeah, but
there's no murderous raptors.
Right.
Just murderous people.
It seemed more targeted violence than like just random.
That's true.
So
that's true. Okay. All right. That's
serious question. Jurassic Park, right? You know the dangers of Jurassic Park, and Jurassic Park actually exists. Do you go?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You would go, even though there's a good chance you're probably going to die.
I'm not going opening weekend.
Everyone dies, James.
I know, but sooner than later, and probably of like a horrible death.
I'll let them work the bugs out, and then I'll go. Though I mean,
dying by Tyrannosaurus Rex is a better way to die than like in a hospital bed.
I don't know. I think that'd be a pretty painful and traumatic death. But we also know it doesn't matter because you're dead anyway. So what's the point?
I don't want to be digested by a large animal.
Well, you're not going to be alive for that part.
James.
You're
by a large
dead.
animal.
You're dead by the time that
you want to get digested by small animals.
I want something to bury, I would say.
I mean, the problem with like dinosaurs is they rip and tear. Like there's no chewing. Like you're ripped apart. That's how they eat. They rip and they swallow whole. Like mammals. Mammals chew. Other animals do not chew. They rip and they swallow.
What is this podcast?
Science, man.
Okay. Is it my turn?
Yeah.
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah.
What's number 3?
Okay, number 3 from 2010, it's Meek's Cutoff, which is a great movie about a very specific location where a historic incident happened on the Oregon Trail in 1854. It's where Stephen Meek led a wagon trail on an ill-fated journey through the Oregon desert along the route later known as Meek's Cutoff in the western part of the United States. Also happens to be a great slow burn western from Kelly Reichardt, that if you like Kelly Reichardt movies and you don't mind slow cinema, characters just kind of living their life and you get a vibe for the time and the place and the characters within, then you should definitely check out her take on the western with Meek's Cutoff. My number 3.
Nice. My number 3 is Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory.
Oh, I thought about this one.
Yeah. And that, of course, is the original, not the Tim Burton remake.
That's Charlie.
And
That's Charlie in the Chocolate Factory.
But in case people don't have settled in their head which is which, I mix up which one to say all the time as the original. And this one's great, man. There's a whole series of Willy Wonka books, that the first one's based off of. And I read them in middle school, and the books get so crazy. The second book, they go to the moon in the Wonkabator and stuff like that.
Yeah, the glass elevator.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can't imagine what it would be like if there was more of those. It'd be so weird. But I love this movie. I'm glad this movie exists. Are you guys going to see the new Wonka movie?
I'm not very
see it.
interested.
I see everything. I'll see it.
Okay. Nice.
If James makes us do it for the podcast, I will see it.
It's not on the schedule,
That's fair.
but
Yeah.
if you guys want to see it, I'm down.
Oh, Willy Wonka's my number 3.
Zach, are you interested in the Wonka
Not
movie
really.
with Chalamet?
Not really.
Nah.
I mean, I'm interested in just seeing them attempt to make a new Wonka movie. That's the same reason I watched Tim Burton's Dumbo. Was I really jazzed about that movie? No, but I'm curious to know, how do you make a live action Dumbo like
With lots of CG,
that many years?
apparently.
Well, the answer is you don't. I mean, you make one, you just don't make a good one.
You
Kyle?
just animate the animal like they did
Mhm.
70 years ago. My number 3 is The Wizard of Oz. This is a movie I watched a ton as a kid. My parents taped it off of TV. So it was one of the few VHSs that we had. So I just watched it a lot. I really like this movie. I got on 4K recently, watched it again, and it just brought me back to being like 5 years old in my den watching it. Totally dig it. And Oz seems like a pretty cool place. Yeah, there's a wicked witch. You got to watch out for her. But there's talking trees, there's automatrons, there's everything's coming to life. There's Munchkin Lands full of candy. The Emerald City looks pretty sweet. I wouldn't mind visiting Oz. Returning to Oz, that looked creepy. I don't want to return to Oz, but I could go there for one time.
I just read this book to Kayla and Jacob.
Oh, yeah.
And they loved it. They're
Oh, cool.
obsessed with this book. They were so excited. Is the movie too scary for them to watch now?
I don't know your kids personally in that sense. I don't think it's terribly scary.
When the monkeys start flying and stuff like that, it can get there.
They could be creeped out by the Wicked Witch. Like she's definitely doing a witch performance. You know the movie.
Or
Like she's definitely doing
cackling
the yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So, and she does die. I don't know how you feel about people dying in movies.
Well, they're very familiar with death.
Okay, well, I still know if they've seen, like, I'm sure they understand the concept of death, but we all explain to our 4-year-olds, sit them down and say, hey, this is great and all, but everyone dies, just so you know. So
Yeah.
yeah,
They're constantly killing each other.
they're constantly
They're like,
killing.
yeah. They're like, firepower, you're dead.
Like they're plague. They're like play
Yeah.
fighting. Okay,
Oh yeah.
so I don't think they would find it terribly scary.
Okay.
But
do
your call.
you know, fun fact, the slippers in the book are silver. Dorothy
not
wears
ruby.
silver slippers. They're not ruby.
Okay.
were they ruby because of Technicolor? They're like, this will pop more if we make them red.
I'm sure.
I'm sure.
Yeah,
Okay,
I bet. Yeah.
Makes sense to me.
What? There's either a movie or a TV show that I saw recently. Oh, no, it's Beetlejuice. And there's a great diss where like there's this woman who enters like a dinner party and she just seems super mean. Another character says, "Don't mind her. Her sister just had a house dropped on her." And it's one of those like, you gotta think about it like, oh, okay, she's the Wicked Witch of the West. I thought that was a great diss. That was over probably people's heads in '88 and would definitely be over people's heads now.
All right.
James, what's your number 2?
My number 2 is Paddington 2 from 2017. Paddington being an area in the city of Westminster in central London, England.
Oh, it's not named after the bear?
I mean, it is named after the bear, but it's also a place.
Okay.
So Paddington is a place. What's the place again?
It's an area in the city of Westminster in central London, England.
Okay.
So, Paddington 2. What a charming movie. Movie that's so charming. It's ridiculous, I would say. Paddington 1, also a good movie, but Paddington 2 took everything up to 11. And fun performances from the human actors and great CG on the bears and the bear family, and very specific Wes Anderson-esque aesthetic, but also just a charming little adventure kids film mixed in there. I think it's probably more kids film than anything, but the presentation, the exactness of the visuals, the fun of the adults in the movie are having make it fun for the whole family at the same time. My number 2, Paddington 2.
Okay. Well, my number 2 is The Secret Garden from 1993. And I couldn't love this movie anymore. I think this movie is magic. I'm obsessed with every element of this movie. I think the acting, the writing, the like look, like the cinematography is just incredible. The setting, the story, it's magic. I love it. And The Secret Garden, is a place, and it's my number 2.
I was kind of scared of this movie as a kid.
Oh, were you?
Well, isn't like there's like a kid like wailing in the house for something?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and like the Secret Garden just seemed, I don't know, it seemed like there was something dark happening in the house the whole time.
Oh, for sure. There's definitely a darkness on that over the house.
Yeah, I found it unsettling as a child.
I believe it. But you've since seen The Orphanage. I think you can handle it.
That's probably true. I don't know. Orphanage. It's a top 100 movie. I saw it once. I own it. Haven't watched it since. Don't know if I will go back to that well. So, like, I can appreciate it for the one time I saw it, but like, do I want to watch it again? I'm not sure. So, yeah. All right. My TV room's in the basement, and the little creepy kid runs around the basement. There's a very traumatic basement scene at the end. I don't know.
Call your son that.
no, okay. That reminds me of a story. When we first moved into this house, so our basement, it's half our basement's finished and half of it's unfinished. And there's 2 doors to get into the unfinished portion so that you can enter from like either side. So there was one time I was down in the basement, and this is, I don't know, a couple years ago, and I was like on one half of the unfinished side. There's boxes and storage down there or whatever. And all of a sudden I hear like a kid giggling, and I freak out. And like, cause I see like this little kid in the corner of my eyes, and I turn, and it's Galen, who had like quietly come down the stairs, gone through the other entrance to the basement, to the unfinished side, and was like just kind of peering around the corner. And like, for a moment, I thought that the orphanage was happening and that there was a burlap sack kid right there. And it scared the crap out of me. And yeah,
that's awesome.
So that's why I'm not gonna watch The Orphanage again. Top 100 movie. We'll leave it right there. But my number 2, and this is a place I definitely want to visit, the 36th Chamber of Shaolin. This is a 1978 kung fu movie starring Gordon Liu. He plays a villager who wants to rebel against whatever the controlling government in the areas at the time. So he goes to the Shaolin Temple and learns kung fu by going through the 35 chambers of Shaolin. Eventually battles the warlord and with martial arts, takes over and then forms a new chamber within the temple called the 36th chamber, which is a place where anyone can go to learn kung fu. And who does not want to learn kung fu like a 1970s kung fu master? I definitely do. Would love to go train at the 36th chamber of Shaolin.
That's a great top pick.
Nice.
It's my number 2.
My number 1 from 1993. What movie is it?
Moon.
Mrs. Doubtfire
From 1993?
It's a place?
The Secret of Nim.
No. Jurassic Park.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah.
Already said. Yes, of course.
Which is on the fictional island Nublar off the Pacific coast of Costa Rica. Love this movie. And it's definitely a place.
Yeah. It is a place. And it occupies the number 1 place on my list as well.
That's a bingo.
Is that the only one that hit all of our lists? I mean, Kyle still hasn't revealed his final one, but
yes, it's the only one that will be on all of our lists. And yes. And so it's all 3 of us plus both of us on the same spot, which is nice.
Nice.
If I had ranked mine by preference, it would of course be number 1. Like just
Okay.
by star rating. So.
Sure.
But I did mine by how much do I want to go to this place.
All right.
And my number 1 is definitely a place I would totally go. I would work here. It would be awesome. And this is Monsters, Inc. Now, Monsters, Inc., when they're scaring kids, doesn't seem like a great place to work. Seems a little high pressure. Your boss is definitely doing some things on the side, trying to, secure their own future. But towards the end of Monsters, Inc., when they're just like throwing parties and making kids giggle and having a great time, how awesome would that be? Right? Even if you're just like the person getting in the door, everyone seems to be having a great time working at Monsters, Inc. And if you get a chance to go just play with kids all day and make them giggle and have fun, I can't think of anything worse. So my number 1, Monsters, Inc.
Yeah, that
Good
sounds
pick.
fun. Good pick. James, I for whatever reason, I made a guess of what your top 10 were going to be.
Okay.
Should I just do that now?
Sure.
Okay. I thought your number 1 was going to be Moon,
Okay.
but it's not.
It's not.
Didn't even make the list.
Didn't even make the list.
You hate that movie.
No, I don't hate it.
I did think Secret of Nim would show up on your list.
I thought about it. When you said Secret Garden, I was like, oh, maybe Secret of
Oh.
Nim could have worked in here.
'Cause I know you like that movie.
Mhm.
Rushmore, I thought could have made your list.
Is that the name of the school?
It is.
I thought so.
Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't quite make that connection.
I know you like that movie a
Okay.
lot. District 9, I pegged.
Okay.
I thought you were going to do that. Fargo.
Oh.
Love Fargo.
Didn't make the list.
Didn't.
Nope.
Did you consider it?
I thought about
Okay.
it.
You hate it.
I kind of tried to make the list like a mix of, they're all movies I like, but
Yeah.
a mix of like things I've talked a lot about with things
Sure.
that maybe I haven't talked as much about. So
Sure. Synecdoche, New
that's why I
York.
said don't take this too seriously as far as like
didn't-
ordered
I didn't-
by how I like
I
movies.
didn't. But for whatever reason, I decided to make this list for you, James.
Okay, cool.
Synecdoche, New York.
That's not a place, though.
New York is a place.
Oh, New York is a place. Okay, Synecdoche's not a place. Schenectady is. But
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but New York is definitely a place. And York is also a place. So it's like a twofer.
Sure.
The Muppets Take Manhattan.
Oh,
That might have showed up on your list.
Mhm.
Considered it.
Southland Tales.
Considered it.
I wanted to see that on your list as well.
Mm-hmm.
And then I thought there was a decent chance of Dallas Buyers Club.
Dallas Buyers Club.
Hmm.
Didn't even consider that one, but
Didn't
What?
consider it. Do you like that
totally
movie?
would have worked.
When's the last
How
time
do
you
you feel-
guys thought about Dallas Buyers Club?
Today.
Okay, besides today,
Just
when
a
you made
second
this
ago.
list. Yeah, like okay. When
right
is
now.
the previous time you thought about Dallas Buyers Club?
It's been 2 years.
Okay.
I wouldn't say I think about it a lot, but I maybe once a year. I think I have it on Blu-ray, so every time I see it on
Okay.
the shelf, I think about it.
Nice.
How many times have I seen it? Once.
It's your orphanage.
But I would watch it again had I had some kind of motivation to watch it.
Did you like it?
Yeah, oh yeah, I like it. That Jared Leto's kind of amazing in that movie.
I like his performance in that. I agree.
And Matthew McConaughey's good too, for sure. But I think he was the surprise more. Jared Leto was. Speaking of surprises, and we can decide not to do this if you don't want to, but I have an after show topic for us that maybe we might want to tease. If you guys want to do a quick after show,
Tease away.
Sure. Tease away.
Here comes the tease.
James is the tease of our
Don't
podcast.
look this up, but we've done this list before. Zach and I did it in 2017. Now we've made fresh lists. I didn't know that until we were mid-recording, and I got a weird sense of deja vu. So I looked it up. We've 100% done this list before. That's never happened. And in the after show, we will discuss the differences between our 2017 lists and our list today.
Love it.
Nice.
Love it.
So if you want to get on the after show, definitely visit us on Patreon, patreon.com/Cinereelists, support the podcast, and get extra after shows as well as other Cinerealist swag. You can also support us by giving us a subscribe on YouTube, or you could leave us an Apple Podcast review. We appreciate that. 5 stars only. Or you could send us an email to heyguys@cinereelists.com. And finally, you could follow us on social media on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, or TikTok at Cinereelists. Or you could follow me on my personal Twitter or Letterboxd account at YoJRB.
You can follow me on Twitter or Letterboxd at Shaubin.
You can find me on Letterboxd at Peter SKB.
Next week, we will be watching either Poor Things from director Yorgos Lanthimos, or if that's not showing in our area, we will be watching Leave the World Behind on Netflix. So if you need to do any pre-watching, make it one of those, because we're talking one of those one way or another. We'll see you guys there. Until then, keep it Cinereal.
You're still here? It's over. Go home. Go.